Hello, everyone. Welcome to Created by You with Leilana. My name is Leilana Holloway, and I will be your host. So, this is actually the very first episode. I've been putting off the first episode for months, maybe even a couple years, because it's hard to sort of just start things, which is going to be a part of our video slash podcast here today. So, I wanted this first episode to be about just doing it. And honestly, it sort of sucks a bit that Nike has just do it because it's just so it's the impetus of a lot of things. You just have to do it. But good on them for taking that quickly. Um but a video that I watched just a couple hours ago that really just made me make a video on it, but also just pushed me to start was a video that started off saying that life is meaningless. And I was like, I have OCD. I don't need this right now. You know. But then he was like, that's precisely why it's so amazing. Everything is just neutral. You give everything meaning. And that just led me down a rabbit hole of thinking, how many things do I not do because I tell myself I can't do it? How many things are just not coming into my life just because I tell it not to, in a way? And you realize it comes down to the simplest of things. For example, a word. Words do not have any inherent meaning to them. We've given it meaning. I honestly want to do some research on just how language in general came about. Obviously think it's probably from making noises and then they're like, oh, that sounds good. But all of the words I'm saying do not have an inherent good or evil to them. You give it that. For example, the word that. Most people don't have really much of a feeling to the word that. Maybe depending on how it's used, like if someone calls you that. But if you're just saying, oh, look over there at that, it's honestly, the more I say the word that over and over again, it sort of doesn't sound like a word. Point being, you give words meaning, you give yourself meaning, you give the world meaning, you give your relationships meaning. If you think things are meaningless, they are. Just like that quote, if you think you can't do it, then you can't. And yesterday, I was even thinking about realizing that your wish is not going to come true the more you wish it. The more you're like, oh my gosh, I really, really need this. I really, really want this. Please, 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 please. Whatever you believe in, God, universe. But the fact of the matter is, it's not about how many times you wish it. There will be people wishing things for years. I'm one of them. It's not how many times you wish it. It's when you decide that it's going to happen and then you make it happen because you are the creator of your own reality. And I want this podcast to be about that. Everything. I I know everyone says this, but I don't want to have a niche. It honestly my niche in general is the arts, mental health, spirituality, I don't know, humans. I just think it's interesting to find the intersection between things. And what better of a platform or discipline than video slash podcast because I'm going to be having conversations with other artists, creators, people that are struggling, people that are thriving, people that are in politics, people that want to change the world, people that want to change their world. And that makes me think of sort of why this year I've been pushing myself more than I ever have. Because of the things going on in the world, it's really easy to go in the direction of, well, I don't feel like this is going to work out. Everything feels hopeless. Everything's sad. The mental health epidemic. the loneliness epidemic, social media is getting out of hand, AI, the list goes on. And I don't want you to listen to this podcast just to be reminded of those things. I want you to listen to this podcast so that you're reminded that you can change those aspects that you don't like. You have the ability. And whether you believe me or not, that's the crazy thing. If you believe that you can't change it, you won't. And if you believe that you can, you will. And I've spent my whole life up until today, I've had thoughts like this, but sometimes things don't make sense until they make sense to you. I know my mom's probably going to listen to this, but my mom is always like, I told you that already, because I'll be like, "Oh, I just realized this." And she was like, "I told you that years ago." And I'm like, "But it was said differently to a different Leilana on a different day in a different environment." And I tell her that too. I'm like, "Well, I told you that." But it's just the point of today, everything sort of intersected. All of the I'm like a geek for just intersections, like interdisciplinary, and how everything literally just intersects. If you follow one point to a point that's seemingly just not related, you will find relation. And that is not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. So all of these lines that have been swirling and twirling in my reality from 25 years ago, because I'm 25 now, and also happy birthday to me. A few days ago, I turned 25. So my brain is fully developed. So that makes me really someone that can let you know what's up. I think, anyway, besides the point, it all has intersected into this small little dot when I heard that guy say that life is meaningless. You can take that as you may, but if you want to see it in an optimistic light that doesn't sound so like ugly, life is everything, but nothing at all because you create it. I don't know how to explain how important this is at this very moment. We are going through something in this world. I think for a long time, Americans were like thinking that it's just us. Not just us, like, but we were like, oh my gosh, America's falling, da da da. But then you realize things are crumbling all around in different countries, different spaces, different backgrounds, because certain people are waking up and there's certain people that want to stay asleep that are clashing with the people that are awakened. But there's also the in-betweeners where you can decide whichever way you want to go. But to be fully awake, you need to realize that you are the creator of your reality. I just meet so many beautiful people every day. I have so many beautiful people in my life. Talented. They say things that they probably don't know that I think back to, and I'm like, wow, I need to keep this in my memory so I can keep on going. When I'm not going to say the specifics now, but I sometimes hold on to the times people have said that I inspire them, which has mostly happened this year, like a couple times. And that boggles my mind because just last year, I remember going somewhere and one of my friends got like super excited to see me. They were like, "Oh, hey." And I was so confused that I started thinking like, "Wait, people enjoy my company, like people want me to be around." And then you start to realize that you're so shrouded by how you grew up, what society wants you to be like. I became this person that everyone else wanted me to be based on me being Black. me having natural hair, me being bisexual, me being in interracial relationship, me having mental health issues, physical health issues, being an artist. All of these things made me look at myself and people like me in a certain light. And the ones like me that have quote unquote made it, I'm like, wow, that means I can do it too. But you always have that little nagging sound in your ear telling you, but you can't do it though. Like they were lucky. They're more talented. Do you hear their voice? Like you couldn't match that. You're not that creative. So why would you even try? You should like get a 9 to 5. You know you actually can't do this creative thing full time. Everybody was right. You shouldn't have went to art school. Why do we do that? Who told you to do that? In this society, being an artist is equated with starving artist, crazy artist, whatever, until you're on the top, quote unquote. Who gave artists those meanings? Us. I went to this event last week on my birthday, actually. I went to this event for this book, Your Brain on Art. And one of the authors was there, but they also talked about neuro arts and aesthetics as a whole, which, if you know me, you know I love the intersection between art and mental health. I'm your girl if you want to talk about that. But I go there and my mind is just expanded. Like I read the book before, so my mind was already expanded from that. But just the seriousness of this topic and conversation that art can literally change lives. She said this interesting thing, Sarah. I forgot her last name, but I know her first name is Sarah. She did over 100 interviews for the book and a bunch of research. And she went to a few of these like places where there were natives living there, just around the world, that they sing, they dance, they draw, they paint. So much so that they don't have a word for art because it's so integrated in their life. There doesn't need to be a separate word for it. And that boggles my mind. Absolutely boggles my mind. That there are groups of people, societies that completely negate art as anything but something pretty to look at. And this other video I saw where it was funny because she was like, if you're an artist, you need to create because if you don't create, you're going to create problems. And I laughed a little, but I realized how true that was. When I heard that, I realized that if you were born a creative person, someone that just can't go a day without creating, there's a reason for that. Everyone can create and should create. And I wonder now, sort of as I'm talking, what if whoever is not creating, they're creating problems? That makes sense. Not just artists, just if you're not creating, you're creating problems. That's just a hypothesis. Okay. But the point is, we spend so much time consuming and not enough time creating relationships, creating bonds, creating art, creating humans. You don't have to. I'm not saying that, but okay, that's on another note. I'm going to quickly say that you don't have to create living beings, but just even creating family, adopting, found family, creating those connections that actually matter because we all heard this before. You only have yourself on your deathbed, bro. You ain't bringing your money. We obviously need money to live because that's the kind of society we're in right now. There's studies saying that once you hit like that 75,000, it's probably more now because prices are so freaking high. But once you hit a certain ceiling of money, after that, the money won't make you happier. Everyone needs those basic resources: money, food, water, clothing, love. But no one needs $1 million, let alone 1 billion. But that's a different story. I also realized that your dreams don't have to look like everybody else's dreams. If you want to be a singer, you don't have to look at a singer that's already famous and be like, okay, I want to be like them. I started to let go of wanting to be a singer, a painter, really anything in the arts field. It slowly started to fade away from my reality because I just didn't see what I truly wanted to do in anything or anybody else. And I was like, well, I don't want to just tour all the time singing. Like, that's not really me. Well, I don't want to just paint. I mean, I'm not really that great of a painter. Or I don't want to just be on film sets 12 plus hours a day for the rest of my life, never seeing my family. Then I realized I don't have to. I can do whatever I want if I want to, if I decide. If you keep praying and wishing that you will be on the moon one day and you take no action to be on that fucking moon, you will not be on the moon. Do you believe that you'll get to the moon? Are you looking at ways to get there? Are you in school to be an astronaut? Is there other ways besides being an astronaut? Have you done the research? We spend a lot of our times wishing and hoping and not even looking at the steps we actually could take to get there. As far as being a singer, you can make money being a singer and only a few people know you because you can sing at people's weddings, you can sing at the bar, you can sing at these events. You can do a little tour. Maybe you do a tour and you only go to 3 places. Maybe personally, maybe I go to Japan and Hawaii, that's where I went to high school, and Berlin. I just go there, those 3 places. If at that point people know me, it might sell out quickly, but I'm not about the profit of it. I'm about the movement of it, the creation of it, the connection of it. I'm only trying to make as much money as I need, my family needs, so that I can get my family, any of my family that's in poverty, out of poverty. Any of the people around me that I love out of this stress of the world. That is my priority. Any money I make above that isn't for me. I have already promised, I've already sworn that any amount of money that exceeds what I can possibly fathom to spend doesn't go to me. I'm making schools, bitch. I'm making libraries. I'm making community centers. I'm going to schools that have no resources and giving them all the resources they need. Your call to action is this: do it, start now. There's not going to be a magical time when you're ready. You'll never be ready. You choose when you're ready. I might look back at this episode in 3 seasons or something and be like, ooh, she could have done this, I could have done that, da 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 da. But 3 seasons, maybe that's a couple years from now. If I wait 2 years to even do 1 episode, I've done nothing. And I refuse to let my mental health stop me from being the person that I want to be. And I refuse to let the thoughts of, oh, this is embarrassing. People aren't going to listen. People aren't going to want to be on it. All of these things. I refuse to let that make me not do it. Do you think that Martin Luther King Jr. was just like, I'm going to start preaching because I want change in this world. I'm going to start preaching everywhere. I'm going to start doing this and that. Did you think that the first day he preached, he knew he was going to change the world? Not just America. Everyone knows Martin Luther King Jr. No, maybe he didn't. Maybe he had an inkling in his heart, in his mind, in his soul, but he didn't know how it was gonna happen. I just have so many people around me that are so talented and beautiful and lovely. They don't believe in themselves, or they're feeling hopeless, or they wanna make a change. They're ready, and everything is a catalyst to something. It's a butterfly effect. You have to be the change you want to see in the world. You just have to. If I just sit there on my phone all day from morning to night, but then I'm like, "Oh, I hate how social media is messing this up, and I hate how everyone's on their phone all the time, and I hate that I don't have I'm not doing much to change that reality, though, and I'm still on social media because it's hard. It's hard to get off, but I don't beat myself up because they're literally paid to make us addicted, but I limit it, and it does make me sad that we go out sometimes for breakfast and stuff, me and my fiance, and we don't if we're eating, we're not on our phones, especially, like, out, like, at restaurants, because it's like, life is short, bro. Life is short. I could be gone tomorrow. He could be gone tomorrow, so that's why we're like, we try our best to be present as much as we can, even though sometimes our minds don't let us. But it's just so sad looking around. You can almost always find one table at least. Usually all of them that everybody's on their phones. One of the last times it was a family of four, all of them were on their phones. It looks so weird. And I'm just like, do people have connections with their families anymore? Like, I'm grateful that my family wasn't like a super addicted to their phones like while when I was growing up per se. But now it's just crazy. It's crazy. And phones aren't just the problem. AI isn't just the problem. Mental health is not just the problem. It's everything, but it doesn't mean it can't change. Who knows if your art will change someone's life one day? Who knows if tomorrow will be the best day of your life? Who knows if you'll save someone's life one day? You don't. You don't know. But I want you to think long and hard about what you want. And I know that's going to be hard for some of you guys because all of your life you have been doing things that everybody else wants. What does everybody else need? No, I can't rest because I got to keep going because of this. Well, I can't do that because my da 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 said that. This is the time. This is the time to break free from that and to realize that maybe that first thing you're like, well, maybe I want to be in the circus. Follow it. Follow it until you can't follow it anymore. And you might get to some place where you're like, I really don't want to be in the circus anymore. That doesn't mean you failed. That means you're succeeding at finding actually what you want. But you are not going to find this is a quote from Daisaku Ikeda. He's the last president of the SGI. Someone was basically asking a question of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life, so what do I do? Like, and I felt that because I spent so much time just thinking about what is the perfect solution? What should I do here? What should I do here? And he just basically said, it's okay if you don't know, but you're not gonna find the answer if you don't do something. Because we think and think and think about the greatest ideas and will this video get me viral? Will this song make me famous? Will this conversation lead to love? You don't know. Don't think so much about it. I'm just so glad that I'm surrounded by friends that I was just brave enough to talk to. Think about and not to make you sad, but think about all of the opportunities and people that are not in your life just because you didn't ask, because you didn't say anything, because you already assumed that you lost before you started. This is the time. I believe in you. I really do. So I'm going to stop here, but I hope you come along on this journey with me as I get into different arts and try to do something about this world and my world and talking to people from all around the world, country, in different demographics and backgrounds, and do something, create something meaningful, even if it's only meaningful to you, because you're the one that gives any of this meaning. I'm Leilana Holloway, and thank you for listening to the first episode of Created by You, produced by You Are the Creator.